Okay, so my name is Alexis Abramson, Abramson, and I am the Vice President of Gerontology Research and Products for Retirement Living Television. What is Retirement Living Television? Retirement Living Television is a network that's actually geared toward the 55 plus population. So what we are, all of our information that we disseminate through our shows, and we have shows ranging from finance shows to health shows to educational shows to money shows, political shows. All of our shows actually are based around information that's specifically targeted toward the mature population. My educational background is very, very gerontology based, actually. I have a certificate in gerontology, a master's in gerontology, and a PhD in gerontology from no other than the University of Southern California. I have a tremendous, tremendous passion for mature adults. I've always felt since I was a little girl that they were put out to pasture. And I felt like it was somehow my responsibility to empower them, not only for people of my generation and younger generations to empower mature adults, but for mature adults to empower themselves and to be their own advocates. So I've always been very, very close to my grandparents. And really, frankly, I just feel like I have a very sort of symbiotic relationship with those that are mature adults. I feel they have a great deal of wisdom and experience to pass down. And unfortunately, I think it's very rare that we listen. We are beginning to listen more to older adults, but I wanted to be a part of being a change agent so that our society embraces mature adults much more. There was no choice. Clearly, I chose Leonard Davis School because it's the best school in gerontology. Has a wonderful reputation. All of the faculty there was so educated in the field of aging. I felt also that I could get a very diverse background because I was in a position to be able to learn from a biological standpoint, sociological standpoint, physiological standpoint, everything about aging, as opposed to being very myopic, which I think some places or some institutions might be more so. I think the Leonard Davis School has a great reputation in the field. I think, unfortunately, gerontology itself is still somewhat of an enigmatic word. Sometimes I say to people, I'm a gerontologist, and they have no clue what I'm talking about. So I think although the Leonard Davis School is the best school and is a school that is known in communities, it's the whole field of aging, the information about aging and about the availability that this is an education you can get is not disseminated enough. People are constantly asking me, what is gerontology? And the funniest thing is when they ask me, when I say something about a geriatrician, for instance, and they say, what is a geriatrician? And I say, well, you went to a what when you were younger, when you were a kid? A pediatrician, which is just a word that everyone knows. And I said, what's the opposite? A geriatrician. And then that relationship comes together. I do think, though, that when the baby boomers begin to really surface, and now it's one person's turning 50 every 8 seconds, but in 2010, it'll be just such a plethora of people that are over the age of 50 and 55, that it will be a word that is more embedded in our vernacular in society. I love the field of gerontology. I mean, I'm incredibly passionate about the field itself, but I think that for others who aren't sort of born into that knowledge that they should be in the field of aging, I think the opportunity that's out there is substantial. I think that what someone can do if they get into the field of gerontology is very easily, get a very nice position in many, many different facets. The opportunity is not only there, but the variety of opportunities. You can work in, say, nursing home management, or you can work in a business that's specific for mature adults, or you can work in the educational institution. There's so many different occupations you can have with a background in the field of aging. think gerontologists have a certain quality that surrounds them, and what it is it's a certain calm, because there are so many people that don't understand or want to be around or are scared of or in denial of older adults or of aging. So I think the qualities that one must have to be a gerontologist is clearly patience is very important, because you're dealing with a segment of our population that may be declining a bit. Another quality that someone must have if they're going into it is the ability to understand that their future might be as rosy, might not be as rosy as they think it will be. Because when you go into the field, you begin to see all the different parts of it. You know, what's going to happen to you physically if you age. So I think you've also got to have a very optimistic outlook as well. I also think that there's got to be some, at least a bit of charisma in who you are and in your personality, because you know, many mature adults they're not sure what they want to do now that they're retired, or they have lots of loss in their life because they've lost spouses or they've lost friends. And being a charismatic individual with the education behind you really puts you at an advantage as a gerontologist. So at Retirement Living Television, we have just launched last September. We'll be a year old September 11th. And a typical day for me is I am in the executive management team. There are 4 of us. We have about 300 employees. My typical day at Retirement Living consists of meeting with the team of researchers that we have here on board. We have 5 researchers that are dedicated to researching all of the different aspects of gerontology to support the shows, the television shows that we put out. We also have newsletters and things of that nature. So I will, you know, brief the researchers to help them understand or answer any questions I can. I will meet with the executive team to let them know what we're up to and to find out what other members and other teams are up to. I'm also on air. So I do segments on a regular basis in our studios. I serve as the network gerontologist. So if there's any segment that needs to be done where they need an expert that's a gerontologist, I am the Retirement Living Television gerontologist. So I do that very, very regularly. We have studios in LA, we have a studio in DC, one in Baltimore, and we also have a studio that we work a little bit with in ARP. So I sort of run around and do all different types of things all day long that are all geared around making sure that the information that's disseminated out of Retirement Living Television is both high quality, it's credible, and it's correct. Make sure that we, cross our T's and dot our I's. So it's for me to make sure that everything that goes out from our team to other teams is correct and accurate. And so the toughest part is a lot of proofreading. It's a lot of sort of making sure that the team is motivated. It's making sure that other members of other teams understand that they need to tap into the research department instead of just sort of going on Wikipedia and places like that to get their information. So that's somewhat tough, but I love what I do. I feel like it's a gift. I feel like all of my background, whether it be in business, whether it be in aging, whether it be in media, that my job is a compilation of my entire background. Well, one of the things I love most is we do internal training. We train all of our staff on all different issues that have to do with aging. We train them on things, basic demographics of aging, all the way to sort of understanding what it means to grow older. One of the things that we did is we had a seminar where, like we do it's very similar to that we did at USC, is we put some of the Vaseline on their glasses, and we put stones in their shoes and the backpacks on their backs, and made them understand more clearly what the physical changes were. I love to see those aha moments in our staff, because our staff isn't made up, except for the research team, of gerontologists. They're made up of editors, and they're made up of marketing people, and they're made up of distribution and affiliate people, but they're not as privy to what it means to be a mature adult as our team is. So I love the fact that we can disseminate information and they have these aha moments. The advice I would give someone who's leaving the degree program is that you can do whatever you want with this degree. I do not believe that because you've studied aging and maybe you've studied one area, maybe it's sociology or it's psychology or it's biology, I believe your education that you get at the Leonard Davis School prepares you to do just about anything in the field because it is wide open. And my advice would be to really sort of talk to your mentors at the school, talk to those that have graduated, and also go internally and say, what do I want to do? Because the opportunities are not only available, but the opportunities to rise beyond your imagination are available. Because right now, it is so incredibly fertile out there. There are so many mature adults, obviously, out there. And the opportunity for someone with an education in this field is exponential. My favorite classes at the Leonard Davis School were, one of my very favorite was sociology. I love the sociology of aging. Dr. Meryl Silverstein, who was my mentor but also taught that class, such a wonderful job of sort of embedding in us the theories behind gerontology, but also the whys, the whats, the hows, and the background. You know, how did it evolve? Why do we study it? Who's responsible for sort of setting the pace of gerontology? And that gave us the opportunity to also do a lot of thinking on our own about what our thoughts are about aging in general, what our thoughts are about other countries and how they react to aging as opposed to the United States. So I love that part of it. Least favorite statistics. Clearly you must go through many statistics classes because the degree is an empirical degree, and so in order to do your data analysis for your dissertation, you have to do that. But what it did for me was really prepare me, because now in this position, one of the things we do is a lot of original research, because very little research has been done on media and aging. So that original research that we do, I could never have done without the background that I got from Leonard Davis School. Also, using things that require the ability to do data analysis, like the Simmons programs and all different kinds of sort of data programs, it made it much easier for me to be able to have more breadth, and with that, you can turn your passion into profit very nicely. The characteristics that I look for when I'm hiring someone are things such as patience, things such as trust, things such as good listeners, someone who has attention, pays attention, has direct eye contact. Obviously, the resume has to match all of that, but I also look to somebody who has given back to their community, who has taken the time to really have hands-on experience in what they're doing, who has things outside of their work that they enjoy doing. I love it when they tell me stories about their families. I mean, clearly you never ask that question, but when they tell you a little bit about who they are as a person. And a lot of it for me is instinct. And I think that instinct can be a bit manipulated, to be honest with you. So if a person comes and they interview you, and you interview them, at times you can actually mirror what the interviewee is doing, and that gives you the ability to have them have a good feeling and a good instinct about who you are. So I also try to see through that. I think a leader has to have the ability to see both sides of any story. I think a leader is responsible to listen to the people that she or he works with, to take the time to try to understand where they're coming from, to be thoughtful when you do that, and to, most importantly, try to create leaders. Because one of the things that I think that we should do always is pass on any leadership skills that you have to other people within your organization, and with what I consider to be within your family, which is sort of your nuclear organization. So for my research team, I believe firmly that I would love to see other people that work with me to take my position one day. I mean, that would be an honor. And I believe that a leader is not competitive. I believe a leader is available. I believe a leader reaches out within their community to try to be a liaison, if you will, especially within the aging community for us. I also believe that a leader has high morals and ethics, but it's also fun, and energetic, and sets a good example. I chose to do my dissertation on the attitudes, images, and perceptions of aging because I firmly believe that we've got a real gap between young adults and mature adults, and the way that mature adults are perceived is off mark a little bit. And I was able, through the dissertation, to more closely look at that and identify the roles that people have in creating a society that is not senior friendly. I think one of the most important things when you're choosing the dissertation topic is to really try to figure out what you want to do when you grow up, if you will. Because for me, this was a perfect fit. Being in television, being in media, working with individuals who want to stop ageism, it was great for me to have done my dissertation on the images, attitudes, and perceptions of aging because I more clearly understand and understood when I started working here what it is that creates ageist attitudes. So I was able to not just bring an education, but bring some really in-depth knowledge and data analysis to the table.